Do you ever play Modern Warfare 2 and feel like your aim is so wobbly and you wonder if you could ever improve it? Well, what if I told you I know some secret settings in Modern Warfare 2 that got added with the Season 3 Reloaded update that can absolutely revolutionize the way you play, and you can be more accurate and get those easy kills. My name is Hero, and I'm one of the most consistent players here in Modern Warfare 2. I've gotten so many feeds, so many 5-ons, over 760 MGB nukes, and I even got nukes with the guns that just got released yesterday. And to add to that, I even have all the MGB Mastery calling cards, which if you guys want an in-depth tips and tricks guide, get this video to 10,000 likes and I'll release that at some point in the future. And I've gotten a nuke with every single gun in the game. And even more so, a lot of people have relied on me for the best rank play loadouts to get to that iridescent as quickly as possible here in Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. So the point of all of this is that I'm here to tell you guys about the new best updated settings for Modern Warfare 2 after the Season 3 Reloaded update that nobody else is talking about. These settings are going to help you play better and especially aim better to make you more efficient at those short range situations and especially those longer range situations. If you want to truly improve and be ready for Modern Warfare 2 ranked and especially the new Warzone 2 ranked play, make sure you guys stay tuned. So what's up guys, it's your Hero by Nino Orquaji and welcome to my updated Season 3 Reloaded settings for Modern Warfare 2 / Warzone 2. These settings are going to help you aim better for those long range and short range situations and improve your overall gameplay so that you can really shred here in Modern Warfare 2. In addition, not only will I be sharing you guys my PC settings where I mainly play, but also sometimes I do play on my PlayStation 5 and I'll show you settings on there as well for console specific settings. For graphics anyways. And then you could also apply any of these settings to Xbox wherever applicable. Before we head into the settings, really quickly, comment down your KD in the comment section below, and if you want to, comment down your ranked play rank in Modern Warfare 2 and your ranked play rank in Warzone. I want to see if by the end of Season 3 Reloaded, if these settings end up helping you guys, just like my previous settings videos have helped many others. And if you're interested in more content from me, make sure you guys drop a like in the video, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications. I upload Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer public match lobby, nukes, best class setups, sometimes rank play loadout videos every so often. And if you're looking for some Warzone 2 action, I'll upload some Warzone 2 on my second channel, More Hero. I've got everything covered, well, as much as I humanly can. And hopefully you guys enjoy my content. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and head into the best Season 3 Reloaded settings. So obviously, I play on a controller. We're not really going to see any, keyboard and mouse settings here. You're going to have to look at somebody else for that. But for my button layout, I actually play on Bumper Jumper Tactical Flipped. And there's so many good options here. I know some of you guys like to play on default or tactical or stick and move or whatever the case is, but the reason why I play on Bumper Jumper Tactical Flipped is because I can jump using L2, aim using L1, allowing me to jump shot very effectively, and then I can drop shot using R3. This allows my controller to be kind of like a special, custom controller without even buying anything special, and I'm able to drop shot and jump shot effectively using all the movement that I can from Modern Warfare 2. I've been playing this way since Black Ops 3 back in 2015, like December of 2015 or something like that, and by playing this way for the past 8 years, I've improved my gameplay considerably, and you might want to switch to it if you have the means to. It might get a little, it might take some time to get used to. It definitely took me some time. Once you get used to it, you're gonna feel very much at home. And people in the comment section will probably share their stories about using Bumper Jumper Tactical Flipped. But at the end of the day, use what works for you. Before I move forward, I should let you guys know that my settings don't really change much from season to season or Reloaded to Reloaded update. I just pretty much use very similar settings, but there might be 1 or 2 settings here that I have changed or that you didn't know about or I wasn't aware about that I'll point out in the video, so just stay tuned. No bumper ping. I don't play with controller vibration just because I feel like it gives me more recoil, even though it's like a little placebo effect. I just feel like if my controller is steady, then I'm steady personally. But you can put on vibration if you want, it's a personal preference. When it comes to stick sensitivities, I like rocking 8 and 8. When it comes to horizontal and vertical, it just feels like it's not too fast and not too slow. If you want to aim even better, then you could obviously lower your sensitivity to like a 4 and a 4 in those cases. But then you'll be kind of slow and might be hard to turn on somebody that's potentially kind of right behind you. And on the flip side, you could also freaking have like really fast sensitivity and turn on people extremely quickly on like 20 and 20. However, on that spectrum, you might not be able to control that sensitivity, and thus you're going to be losing aim and losing gunfights that way. So 8 and 8 is like the perfect medium. It's not too fast, not too slow. I'm able to keep my aim steady and be able to turn on opponents if needed. So use what you want and practice whatever you want to as well. When it comes to sensitivity multiplier, I've got that all on 1 here. ADS sensitivity multiplier is disabled because I've done something in the advanced settings, which I'll show in a little bit, but 0.9 is what I would usually use if I didn't mess with the advanced settings. Vertical aim axis is all standard. ADS behavior is hold. All of this should be default. Automatic sprint should be off. If you have it on, then it's low-key going to screw you over in the sense that you're going to die to campers, because if you're always sprinting, you're going to have a lower, you're going to have a slower sprint to fire speed, and thus bringing up your gun is going to be a little bit slower than if you were kind of walking, you had more control over your sprint than if it was automatic. So keep this off. I don't recommend it on at all. Equipment behavior, hold, all of this is default. Interact/reload behavior. If you're playing multiplayer, tap to reload. The default is the best way to go, but if you're playing Warzone 2/DMZ, prioritize interact is the way to go. And the reason why you want to put prioritize or interact in Warzone 2 and DMZ is that it allows you to loot way more faster, because if you don't have this on, you're gonna have to like hold square to loot, where with this it's just a tap of square, at least on the PlayStation 4 controller. On Xbox I think it's like X, I believe it is on there, and then whatever the case is on PC. But you're gonna want to put on prioritize interact if you're playing Warzone 2. When I'm playing multiplayer, tap to reload, so keep that in mind. Armor plate behavior, put that on an apply all so that you can put on your armor as efficiently as possible, specifically for Warzone 2. Now when it comes to the advanced controller settings, target aim assist should be on. It's very overpowered, all the PC players complain about it, so make sure you use it to make somebody mad in the future. Aim assist type, the best ones are usually default or Black Ops. People have said that Black Ops was like nerfed at some point. I've been using Black Ops and I'm still freaking dropping nukes like crazy, so use whatever you want. Sometimes I'll switch to default, sometimes I'll switch to Black Ops. Those are usually the best ones though, and testing has been done on all of these. And sometimes you lose aim assist with precision, and sometimes you lose aim assist with focusing in certain situations. So that's why you should just put on Black Ops or default to have aim assist on at all times. When it comes to third person ADS correction type, just make sure you have assist on. It's basically the same as the aim assist type. Don't have precision on or off or whatever the case is. For aim response curve type, the best one is easily dynamic. It allows you to have more stickier aim, and it's been proven to be the best by YouTubers and other content creators in the past like 4 years. So don't use standard, don't use linear. All the pro players use dynamic as well and have been using dynamic for the past 3 to 4 years, and it's proven to be the best. ADS sense multiplier focus 1, transition timing instant here, custom sensitivity per zoom. This is what kind of disabled my ADS sensitivity zoom on the previous page, but I have it on, and for any low zoom optic to 5x optic, I have it at 0.9 so I can be more steady with my shot when needed. And then for the 6x to the high zoom optics, I have it at 1.20 just because I feel like very sluggish and very slow with these higher zoom optics, and I don't want to be that slow, so that's why I put it at 1.20 just to be a little bit faster when ADSing with something huge like that. Inputs dead zone, I have it at 0.08. Basically I have everything by default because on accident sometimes, because I am playing on bumper jumper tactical flipped, I'll throw my my lethals on accident. That's why everything's kind of default basically. But if you want to have the fastest trigger finger possible, oh, there goes my controller. If you want to have the fastest trigger finger possible, then you should put these all to 0. And left trigger and right trigger, you'll be very snappy with your gun or with your controller, and you'll be snappy with the gun as well. So up to you. I just put it at like default just for my own situation because I'm very irresponsible with my controller. Gyro aiming, if you want to mess with gyro aiming, you can. I personally don't do it, but if you want to get into it, go ahead and mess with these settings. I don't really have much to say about it. I just like playing with my regular controller and not really messing with anything like that. Sprint / tactical sprint behavior, toggle is the way I like to move. Auto move forward, it's basically the same case as automatic sprint. make sure that it's off, because you're gonna screw yourself over if you run into campers and you're not in full control of your auto movement. You want to be in full control of everything so you can make decisions on the fly and have better reaction time and outplay those pesky campers. When it comes to tactical sprint behavior, double tap, grounded mantle on. I believe the rest of this is default for the most part, and I believe it is. So yeah, make sure you guys use the controller settings. They're very effective. And now let's move on to some PC graphics settings. I've got some pretty high-end specs, as you guys can see here. I've got the GeForce RTX 3080 Ti, and I've also got some pretty nice RAM and like 64 gigabytes of RAM, or whatever the case is, or a really good CPU is what I was trying to say earlier. I'll put up the stats of my specs on the screen, or whatever the case is if you're curious. But dynamic resolution off, aspect ratio is automatic, VSync should be off, custom frame limit doesn't matter, but these are the ones that I have in case you're curious. And then the rest of this should be whatever options you want it to be. But moving on to the more important settings, we got render resolution. I have it at 100 because my PC can handle it. If you want to get a little bit more frames, you could lower this to like 90 or 80, but the game will look a little bit uglier. But I think for the extra frames, it is worth it, in case you're not like at a stable like 120, 140, or whatever the case is. When it comes to upscaling / sharpening, I have it at Fidelity FX Cast, and I have it set to 90 strength. Just makes the game look a lot more sharper, a lot more cleaner, without sacrificing too many frames for me. Anti-aliasing is going to be SMA T2X. Quality is going to be low. Video memory scale is going to be at 90. If you have some problems with this, you could also lower it to 80 if you wanted to. Texture resolution is going to be very low. I want as much frames as possible because I am mostly playing multiplayer. If you're playing Warzone, sometimes low could work out pretty well for you, just because, I mean, even then I do play very low on Warzone as well, so I don't think it makes much of a difference, but sometimes you want to see things a little bit more clearly. But I play on very low because I want as much frames as possible, and I play on 1440 like I showed you guys before. If you play on 1080, you're definitely going to want to put this up a little bit because you're at 1080. With 1440, a lot of things are cleaner to me by default, so I don't really mind having a super low texture resolution for those extra frames as well. Texture filter anisotropic, normal, nearby level of detail low, distant low, clutter draw distance short, particle quality high, particle quality level high, just for bullet impacts on, persistent damage layers on, for the traces or whatever the case that I use. Shader quality low, tessellation off, on-demand texture streaming off, streaming quality normal, volumetric quality low, physics quality off, water quality, wave wetness. Shadow map resolution very low. Shadow maps definitely to take some of the VRAM away, so definitely have that very low. Screen space shadows off, low spot shadow quality low, spot cache low, particle lighting normal, ambient occlusion off, SSR off, static reflection quality low, and weather grid volumes off. Basically, a lot of these are going to be low or off just to get the most frames possible. I'm not trying to give a cinematic experience exactly, even though I already did that with my videos. But you just want to have everything kind of low. NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency on. Sometimes some people might have like better frames with on plus boost or off. This is more of an experimental thing. But for the most part, most systems do end up getting the best result with just on. So try each of these, experiment, see what you feel like gives you the most frames or the best, quality of gameplay. But usually on is going to be the way to go. On plus boost just kind of messes you up at sometimes. Depth of field should 100% be off. Basically, when you aim down sights with this depth of field on, the field is going to be a little bit blurry, and you don't want any of that blur. So that's why you want to have it off. And the same case goes for world motion blur and weapon motion blur. You want to have both of these off because if you have motion blur on, then every time you move, you're going to see a little bit more blurriness on your screen. And especially if you have the world motion blur on, imagine you see somebody at a window and you're like moving left and right, but you don't know if that's actually a person. The person might have just reflected with like the darkness of the window, and then you end up getting killed because of your own motion blur. This hurts you at the end of the day, so just make sure that it's off. You're going to help yourself a ton more at playing the game. Film grain is going to be 0. You don't want the game to look ugly. It just makes the game look a little grainy, which is not good. And then going over to view, we got FOV at 120. Hey, if we got FOV, I'm taking full advantage of it and going all the way. That's the way I like to play it. I'm able to see more of my surroundings, being able to see my left and rights a lot more easily, seeing more of the open field, and thus able to locate my opponents a lot more easily. Now, when it comes to ADS field of view, most YouTubers / streamers will like to play unaffected. I personally like playing on independent. And the reason why I like doing this is because when you ADS with independent on, your FOV turns into 80 FOV, but that's when you're ADSing. And the point of having 80 FOV when you're ADSing is that everything comes closer to you. Everything looks closer to you. So a farther range opponent is going to appear a lot closer to you, and thus you're going to be able to be more accurate towards that longer range opponent, giving you a faster time to kill because you're able to be more accurate with it in a sense. Whereas if you're on affected, then even when you ADS, you're still going to be on 120 FOV, which is nice when you ADS, of course, but you're not going to be able to see that opponent a lot more clearly. And literally, when you're ADSing, you're focusing on something in front of you more than your sides and your peripheral vision. So at that point, it makes more sense in my mind to have that lower FOV, just so you can focus in on that object or that opponent that you're trying to ADS on. It helps me play a lot better, and for anybody that has switched over to independent, it's helped them play a lot better as well. So try it out for yourselves. Maybe you like affected better. I just am personally a lover of independent, and that's pretty much why. Weapon field of view is going to be wide. You know, it's going to make your gun look a lot more smaller, so you have more space and you're able to see your screen a lot better. Third person field of view, same logic. I want it maxed out so I can see more of my environment. Vehicle field of view, same thing as the weapon field of view, having it at wide so your vehicle is as small as possible. You can see your surroundings a lot better. First person camera movement and third person camera movement should be at 50% or least. Because if you have it at default at 100%, your camera's going to be shaking everywhere, which is not good. So you don't want to have that on. You leave these at default, and you should be pretty good to go here with the PC graphics qualities. And now we're going to go over and jump over to my PS5 and show you guys my graphics quality on console so that you guys can go ahead and copy that down. Now here I am on my PS5 going to show you guys the console graphics settings. So starting it off, we got on-demand texture streaming. I just got that off. World motion blur and weapon motion blur and film grain all off/0. I've already explained this earlier. Depth of field is going to be off. Fidelity FX cast is going to be on, and for the strengths I have it at 52. Pretty much to give the game a little bit more color and make it look kind of nice and crisp for the consoles. For the view, if you can do 120 Hz refresh rate, make sure you have that on so you have 120 Hz. This will give you a distinct advantage on PS5 and Xbox Series X/S, which is why it's advantageous to have those consoles because they can actually compete with PC players that way. If you're on PS4/Xbox One, you're only going to have that 60 Hz, which is still okay to play on. I can play personally on 60 Hz. But having that 120 does help in a ton of situations. When it comes to field of view, 120, maxed it out. I've already explained this. ADS field of view and weapon field of view are independent and wide, which I've already explained in the PC section of the graphics settings. Third person field of view, 90. Vehicle field of view, wide. I've already explained these as well. First person camera movement, 50%. Third person camera movements, 50%, just because it gives you the least amount of shakiness, and that way you have more accuracy at your opponents and the game isn't moving everywhere. And then these are personal preferences, and then HDR on, HDR brightness 1, and then you have your own safe area. So yeah, let's go ahead and hop back on PC and get on to those audio settings. And now that you guys have seen the graphics quality on both my PC and my console, let's go ahead and go into audio. Audio is going to be the same for, you know, console and PC. But for my audio mix, I personally have it on PC. It's just the best way to go. And one day somebody told me to like switch it over to PC, and I'm able to sound a lot more easily when it comes to having these PC audio mix. But usually, a lot of these don't really make a huge difference. People have told me that just home theater works out pretty well for most people. So if you're on console, just use home theater or even headphone-based boost. I don't think there's much of a difference, and it's usually all experimentation at the end of the day. But I felt really at home with PC. When it comes to the master volume here, you want to have that maxed out, obviously, but when it comes to the actual specifics of your volumes here, you want to have gameplay music volume relatively low, just because that doesn't really matter. You don't want to listen to music or gameplay of anything like that. Dialogue volume could be at 40. I only have it at 0 because sometimes the characters say bad words, and YouTube has been very like nitpicky, I guess you could say, about trying to demonetize me. So I haven't had any of my characters saying anything lately, which kind of sucks because I do like hearing my characters say something, and sometimes they say some very valuable call outs. So dialogue volume can be very useful. So have that like at 40 or something. But effects volume, this is the one that you should be focused on. Have that at 100 because you're able to hear footsteps, hear missiles being, you know, brought down, hear the chopper gunners, the most important stuff, and that's why you should have that maxed out. Voice chat volume is going to be 64 so that you can also hear, voice chat and, trash talk or listen to teammates or whatever the case is. And then cinematic music volume, you want to have that at 6 as well, or 0, because you're not here to hear music, you're here to hear gameplay. And that's why the effects volume is the most important here. Moving onwards, I believe everything else here doesn't matter if I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, subtitles. Make sure if you don't like do content creation or anything like that, if I wasn't a content creator, I would have subtitles on. And the reason why is that there's some important callouts that are made when subtitles are on. And sometimes I'd rather read something than hear something, and I can respond a lot better that way. But if you feel like the subtitles just get in the way, you can just turn them off and the game looks a lot more cleaner. But personally, if I wasn't a content creator, I'd probably have them on just because I like seeing the text in front of me and being able to, read, cruise missile inbound instead of just hearing it, if that makes any sense. So up to you if you want to have subtitles on, but I think they're very beneficial. When it comes to reduced tinnitus sound, I just have that off, but you could also put that on if you feel like it's not that annoying. It's up to you, whatever you want to like, And that's pretty much it for audio here. And now for the last section, we got some very important settings here in interface that are very game-changing, which I'm very surprised they don't have in like controller settings or anything like that. So all of this is kind of default. When it comes to color customization, you can change the colors of, all the things in your minimap if you wanted to. I haven't really messed with that. I just like the default colors. Once again, we've already talked about subtitles earlier. And then when it comes to the HUD bonuses here, or HUD bounce, I just have that at 100. Minimap shape is very important. You want to have this as square, because if you have it as circle or round, you're gonna have less surface area, meaning that you're gonna be giving yourself a little bit of a disadvantage. When you have it at a square, you have more surface area, you're able to see more of the minimap, and thus you're going to be more effective at, seeing the intel on your minimap and seeing where your enemies are at and seeing where your teammates are at. So you're definitely going to want to have it on square. Minimap rotation on, horizontal compass is on, especially when you don't have UAVs up. The compass is your next best friend, and you definitely want to have that on so you can see the little red dots that appear on the compass, and then obviously head towards the opponents that way. This is one of the most important things right here, crosshairs static. By default, it'll be on, and you would assume, oh, of course I want my crosshairs on, I don't want to have it off because then you'd just be playing hardcore and you won't be able to see your crosshairs because they're pretty useful. But static actually helps you a lot. If you guys noticed in the intro clip, when you just have it at regular on, the crosshairs are a little bit wobbly and they kind of disorient your aim a little bit. Whereas if you have it at static, your crosshairs are legitimately static, and thus when you're moving around, your aim is going to be a lot more on point, specifically when you're hip firing, and can help you make some really great decisions. So I've been playing on static lately. I didn't know about the setting until legit like a couple weeks ago, and it's definitely improved my gameplay. So this is the most important setting that I found out so far, and is the biggest game changer to what I've had so far. So definitely put this on static. Don't put it on, put it on static. It helps a ton. Even though it's just like a visual effect, I personally believe it helps more than that in a sense. Everything else here should be default if I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, center dot, put that on and put it on largest. It's also a little thing that I mentioned in my season 3 settings video that will help you aim a lot better and be more on point. It just makes a big difference in my eyes. And then telemetry, if you want to, have anything on, if you want to know how much you're lagging, how much FPS you have, or whatever the server latency is, the lag of the lobby. And I believe that should be it. Inverted flash, if you want to have the black flash, you could have it. Or if you want the regular white flash, you could have that on too. It just depends on what you want to suffer with. Do you want to believe that your game is shutting down every time? Or do you want to be blinded and potentially go to the doctor in like 50 years and tell them you got blind off a video game? It's up to you. But I just, it's up to you at the end of the day. I'm glad they have the setting there though. It's pretty nice. But that should be it. Those are all the most important settings for the Modern Warfare 2 Season 3 Reloaded update. Hopefully these settings help you. If they have, make sure you guys drop a like in the video, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, and hopefully I haven't been talking too much. I know this is going to be a long video, but I always got to be in depth with these videos so you guys get the best experience and you guys can play at your best as well. Anyways, go ahead and conquer those lobbies, and hopefully I'll see you guys on the next video. Keep being big ballers. Ranked play loadouts, next up tomorrow. Yes, sir. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys want to see these gameplays live, then make sure you guys follow me on my Kick stream at kick.com/themarkofahero. I interact with the chat, and we have a good old time roasting ragers and nuking fools. I also stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/themarkofahero, and you'll see a lot of the same action on there. I really love you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being a beautiful audience. And without further ado, I hope you guys have a good day. Stay awesome and keep being big ballers. I love you all.